in terms of have a child? At what point do I start suspecting that could we be having something similar to cancer here in terms of what are the symptoms, what are the signs, what
Um,
are the language
yeah,
that an
yeah.
ordinary person can understand with regards to
Mm.
this?
That's a very good question because cancer, so if using leukemia as an index diagnosis, it mimics everything else.
Mhm, mhm,
So and you know when you so typically a child could have bruising,
mhm,
that you can't remember how the child bruised and you just find these bruises that are not getting better, or it
mhm,
could be nose, and so they go to see the GP like yourself and then they do a blood test and they find the bloods are abnormal. Or typically they have the usual intercurrent childhood illnesses, so a cough and a cold that everybody had, but
mhm,
this one child is just not recovering and it's just
mhm,
carrying on and carrying on. They get more lethargic.
mhm, mhm,
Quite often it's out of the blues, really. It's a
mhm,
typical, oh, everybody had a cold and we didn't think too much of it, but then everybody got better and they didn't get better. So we went to
mhm,
see the GP and the GP thought, oh, let's do bloods. And suddenly,
mhm.
they've got leukemia. Bruising, like I said, is a big one. The most referrals I get are lymph nodes. And can I just say, very children have lymph nodes because they have intercurrent illnesses. They
Yeah.
rarely the lymph nodes in children are rarely ever cancer. But we get a lot
Mhm.
that's different in adult medicine. In adult medicine, if you can feel the gland, then you're worried. But in
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
children, almost every child under 5 will have some glands if you feel hard enough. That's
yeah,
just
yeah.
because they have lots of coughs and colds. So
Mhm,
the
mhm,
way to
mhm,
distinguish is if they have a gland that is more than 2 centimeters when you feel it and it
mhm,
continues to get bigger. So with leukemia, it won't just stay there quietly. It will get bigger and bigger. And
mhm,
there will be
mhm,
other things like the tiredness, the bruising,
mhm,
the non-blanching rash that we call petechiae,
mhm, mhm,
things like that. So if your
mhm,
child has an illness and is not recovering from it, a week,
mhm,
2 weeks, then it's
mhm,
definitely worth seeing your GP and get
mhm,
some bloods done.
mhm, mhm,
That's for leukemia. For
mhm,
the brain tumors, it's even more tricky
mhm,
because it might be nothing to just waking up one morning with a headache or a new squint. So a child that's never had a squint suddenly has a
mhm,
squint.
mhm,
It's worth
mhm,
getting checked out.
mhm,
Or in under fives, parents will say they suddenly notice the child is walking and holding the head in a funny position.
mhm, mhm.
And what they're indirectly trying to do is to balance themselves. And then, so I always refer people to a website called Head Smart.
Okay,
So
that's smart.
head as in head, and then smart, and it gives
Okay.
you it gives you red flag signs for brain tumors. It's a
Mhm,
charity
mhm,
set up by families whose children have had brain cancer because it's so difficult to diagnose,
mhm,
and it
mhm,
gives you age by age when to worry about brain tumors. So any headache that wakes you up from sleep
mhm, mhm,
is
mhm,
usually worrying.
mhm, mhm.
So if you have a child that says whenever I lie down the headache
Yeah.
gets worse or the headache wakes me from sleep, that's a red flag. As opposed to your typical headache, you sleep it off.
Mhm,
So if you have a headache that wakes you, we want to see that child. Or for you as a clinician, if you have a child that has an abnormal neurology examination, which is rare, they normally have normal neurology, but if they do have abnormal neurology, then we want to see them and scan them.
mhm. Okay.
And the other one is the Wilms tumors.
Mhm, mhm,
Again, the typical history is that the grandmother came to visit or somebody else came and said, oh, this child's belly looks a bit big.
mhm,
So
mhm,
the person who is looking after the child may not notice because it's a slow process. But
mhm.
the typical thing is, oh, we were giving them a bath at night and the grandmother said, oh, this belly looks big. Or somebody else said, this belly looks big. And they come to us, and as a clinician, by feeling the abdomen, you can feel that there's something there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they'll be running around as normal. That's the beauty of pediatrics. The child will be running
Yes,
around normally.
yeah, children. Sometimes by the time the mom is giving you the history, and then you
Yeah.
see the child, it doesn't
It doesn't match. Yeah.
it doesn't match.
But you
But
have